So let's summarize what we've learned about caches so far. So we did all of this because we want memory that's both big and fast. And we discovered we couldn't actually do that. So what we do instead is we build a hierarchy and we keep the most important data in the fast memory. If we have data that's less important, we put it in the slow memory. And if we do this the right way, we get the illusion of a fast and big memory. And to motivate why we wanted to do this, we saw the different sorts of memories and their speeds and size. So registers are very fast. We can access 3 of them every cycle, but we don't have that many of them. In MIPS, we only have 32 registers. We talked about caches. So these are built out of SRAM, and they're pretty fast, so 1 to 10 cycles, but pretty small. So maybe this fast up to 256 kilobytes, and then if you want a much larger SRAM, much larger cache, it's going to take you about 40 cycles to access it. We saw DRAM, which can be enormously larger, so now we're talking gigabytes, not megabytes, is also a lot slower. Flash memory and hard disks are enormously larger, but they're also enormously slower. And so what the memory hierarchy does, it lets us combine the best of both of these. So we use DRAM and flash and all of this to get the big size, and we use registers and small caches up here to get the high performance. So how do we make the hierarchy work? How do we build caches? We saw there are 3 different types of caches. Fully associative caches, and these are very flexible, but you have to search all the blocks. This is because you can put any block of data anywhere in the cache. So remember, the problem here was we needed lots and lots of comparisons to find stuff. We have direct map caches, which are sort of the opposite. There's only one place for each piece of data, and that means you have no flexibility. So if you have memory addresses that collide with each other in the cache, you can only keep one or the other. And as a compromise, we have set associative. So in set associative, you only have to search one set for each block. So you know that each block goes in a particular set, but it's flexible because each set can have multiple ways. So if we have a 4-way set associative cache, that means each set can store 4 different blocks in it. We saw that we can adjust the block size, or the cache line size, to reduce the overhead of how many tags we have to store. We figured out that we can choose where the data goes in the cache by looking at the address. And we saw already in the first lecture in this class that the last 2 bits are the byte in the word, and then we use the rest of them to figure out where it goes in the cache. So the next n bits are the word in the cache block, and this depends on how big each cache block or cache line is, and the remaining bits are used for the tag, or where it goes in the cache. We saw we had different write policies. So write through was slow, but it was simple. And it was slow because you always wrote to DRAM, and you had to wait for that. We then had write back, which was fast. So in write back, we just keep the data in the cache, but it's more complicated because now we have to keep track of which data in the cache is dirty. That is, we've updated in the cache, but we haven't written it back to DRAM. And finally, we saw the performance benefits from caching come from reducing the average memory access time. So if the average memory access time is going to the DRAM, which is very slow, by putting in a cache we can make that much faster and make the overall execution a lot better.